Hello, everybody. It's John Pollock and WH Park. And for the first time ever, I can say we are live from Japan.
Yes, you're barely alive, John. You've had a hell of a day.
It's been a long one. My day started at about 4:30 in the morning when I'm still trying to get my sleep pattern figured out. So it was a very early start. I was completely wired by 5 this morning. So I got up and I explored Tokyo and then came back. And then it's been a long day that feels like multiple days, but a lot of cool stuff today.
We went shopping for a new adapter for your charger.
That was one error I made, along with locking my key in my room today. That was among the misgivings. But we did, thanks to WH Park, who's been my lifeline on this trip, found a converter. All set for that. That's the reason everyone's going to be hearing this show, so that I can use my laptop on this trip. But then today consisted of All Japan, Stardom, and maybe the main event for me, Ribera Steakhouse.
Oh, yeah. I think the main event for maybe everyone who came to the restaurant today, including Dave Meltzer.
Dave Meltzer came to Ribera. Fumi Saito came to Ribera. We had Martin Bushby. We had Wei. We had Rob Conway, the other Rob Conway.
That's right. It
was, I can't believe that we fit, what was it, party of 14? Mark Raimondi was there.
Mark Raimondi.
Man.
Yeah. We had, like, our party was 10, and then we kind of sort of mixed in with Dave and Fumi's party, and then became like 14 or something like that.
Having gone to so many, like, dome shows, big New Japan shows, like, what is it from your perspective, just seeing the amount of tourists here? Does this feel like a bigger one than you've experienced in terms of people from, because just for me, in like my circle, it just seems like so many people have come over for this one.
I've never seen it like this. And I've been to like big events like the G1 Climax Finals, which happens in Tokyo, and a lot of people come for that. During Golden Week, a lot of people come here during the Golden Week period, and there's lots of shows during that time period. But this just seems special. I think it's the two domes. It's makes it special. But like so many people just go to all the shows surrounding Wrestle Kingdom, like the All Japan, Big Japan, DDT, Stardom.
Everyone's doing awesome. Like
Ice Ribbon, like all these smaller Joshi companies, like they're all like getting sellouts essentially, like 13,000 to like 1,300 to 1,800 people to 2,000. It's like crazy here. These companies must be just loving piggybacking off of New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom shows this year.
I'm really curious to see what this looks like next year. That if this is just, the precursor that everyone's going to go wild next year, because look at the companies that took any kind of risks this week, and Noah, 2 sellouts. All Japan we were at today, sold out. Stardom sold out. DDT had a show tonight running head to head with Stardom. They were at Korakuen Hall. It's just all these non-New Japan shows. It just seems like those that are here to watch wrestling, they can't get enough.
It's basically from the time period of like the week of Christmas until like the New Year's Dash period. Like there's wrestling every day in Tokyo. Like it's either at Korakuen Hall, it's at Shinkiba, it's at like where Gato Move does their shows, Ichigaya Square. Like it's everywhere in Tokyo. It's like has shows, and like every company is scrambling to get the Korakuen dates, especially.
Yeah.
They book like a year in advance for the most part. I think that's the main reason. Like Noah's show on the 4th is running head to head with Wrestle Kingdom, because Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling already books like the Korakuen for the 11:30 slot.
Right.
So they can get that. So that's why it's running head to head. But it's great. It's impressive that they sold that out.
Yeah, that like all these shows are just doing incredible business this week. So that's been one of the really interesting stories. And what we'll get into, we're going to share some of our thoughts. We're not going to go like match by match, but just give some of our highlights of the shows that we did attend today, because there was some really good wrestling that we saw. But as you look ahead to next year, like, do you think that this, because we'll probably know by the end of the 5th, do they do this experiment again? 2 domes, or do they? Your initial thinking was the fact that next year you don't have the advantage of Saturday, Sunday. Seeing the success, do you think it's a worthy experiment to try again next year? Or do you think that this year was the anomaly, not just with Saturday, Sunday, but having the double titles, having Liger retirement? It was like the perfect storm this year to try it.
I think it's the perfect storm. And I think a lot of it has to do with the Saturday and Sunday. Yeah. If you look at like Saturday, it's like it's a later start. and Sunday's an earlier start because they want people to be able to catch the trains home because people are going to go back to work on Monday. So like, you know, like you're here for a extended period of time. So I took time off. If you weren't here, I would not be, you know, staying on till the 6th. I would just go back home and I would be going back to work on the 6th. So but you know, I took time off because like it's January 4th and 5th. It's a Wrestle Kingdom. People are coming here. If they don't have those 2 days, like, cause most people are just going to go back to work on the 5th if it's the regular holiday, right? If it's a Monday, people are going back to work. So like, I think that's it.
So today, our first show that we took in was All Japan and my maiden voyage to Korakuen Hall. And what an experience this was. Just entering this building, going up the stairs. We met up with Todd Martin. He came to watch the show with us as well from PW Torch. And let me just say, this was it was such a cool experience just to finally attend a show. And just what a fantastic venue for professional wrestling, which I'm not breaking any news here.
And you didn't take the elevator at all. You went up the stairs.
No, I went up the stairs.
Yeah. So, which is like, you know, if people have been to Korakuen Hall and taken the stairs, they'll see all the signatures of all the fans and people who've come to see shows throughout the years.
There's like 6 floors of stairs.
Yeah, essentially. It's not a fun walk, if you're coming in, you got a heavy bag and stuff like that. But it was fun. It's fun to see like people's reactions for the first time. I'm always excited when it's your first time in Korakuen. Yeah. And like, just the joy. You were like so happy.
It was just such a cool building, you know, that I've watched forever and now finally getting to attend. So yeah, that was definitely one of the highlights going into the trip for me, was just to watch a show finally at Korakuen.
And there's like the great thing about Korakuen, there's no bad seat in the house. Every seat is good in whether you're way in the back or
it's like the most intimate 1800 you're going to get. Like that is that's a sizable number for a pro wrestling show, but this is just such a fantastic venue.
And we got a great crowd, I felt, today.
And a great show.
Like, that crowd was so into everything. And well they should be. Like I've not been this excited for, like, an All Japan show in a long time, John.
Yeah, this show, I thought, was not only, it was capped off with a fantastic main event. Kento Miyahara and Jake Lee, who went 31 minutes. It was a phenomenal match, but this was a great booked show. They had angles to shoot. They had young stars that they were going to focus upon. And it really felt that they understood we may have an audience that they are just sampling us, whether it be for the first time or they're not regular viewers and they're just checking in. This is our show to put our best foot forward, and people leave this show with an interest to see where all this stuff is going. And I thought they hit it out of the park. Like a big angle at the end of the show, and then introducing one guy by the name of Lucas Steele, who I was not familiar with, and Francesco Akira was another one who they set up for a title challenge later as well. And then you got these 2 excellent matches to end the show. Like, I thought this was one of the better start to finish wrestling shows I've been to in a long time.
And we should talk about, like, so in one of the multi-man tag matches, Yuma Aoyagi.
Yes.
He submitted Zeus, who's a former World Tag Team Champion. He's a former Triple Crown Champion. This is an elevation for him.
You were shocked.
I was shocked. I was very pleasantly shocked because I'm a huge supporter of Yuma, and that finisher, that's a new submission, John. Like, I was like,
this was like a guillotine into a Kimura simultaneously, and as Zeus is fighting it, like, that's the thing. It's like when you protect these guys to such a degree, when you pull the trigger, it means so much more.
Yeah, and so, like, not only am I shocked, like, our friend Jojo, Remy, who of course used to do the show with me, and he's lived in Japan. He's a big All Japan fan. He knows these guys. He knew the significance of what it meant for Yuma Aoyagi to submit, not pin. He submitted Zeus with this new finisher. And so it's like, you gotta think, they're gonna put this finisher over like someone like Zeus, who's really high on the card. They're gonna go forward with this guy, and they're gonna make this move a killer move in the company. I'm all for it. It looked amazing.
Yeah, it was a tremendous submission. And then we can go to the main event because it plays into that. Kento Miyahara, who was just unbelievable to watch live. I thought this match with Jake Lee was better than their last singles match, which was an outstanding match from a couple of months back. And Miyahara retains, and then afterwards they shoot the big angle with Aoyagi attacking him, and we set up our next program. Like, just tremendous booking on this show.
Oh, yeah, and then we can talk about, that was great. I'm really excited for where Aoyagi is going to go next. Like, is he going to align with anyone? The possibilities are endless. They also crowned a new All Japan Junior Heavyweight Champion in Susumu Yokozuka from Dragon Gate, which I thought was great. And I said to you beforehand, like, Hikaru Sato would be the sentimental favorite because of his relationship with the former champion Asushi Aoki, who passed away, unfortunately. But the thing that would make the booking more interesting and much fresher would be to put the belt on Yokozuka, who's an amazing wrestler, one of the most underrated wrestlers in the last 20 years in Japan for Dragon Gate. And I don't think he ever gets his due, in terms of a wide recognition among fans. But those who follow Dragon Gate and know him, we know how great he is. So I'm really excited for him to get a broader audience with this World Junior Heavyweight title run.
Yeah, and their match, it was totally different than the main event. And you could see how captive this audience was, and they were just simmering and just building and building. And down that final stretch, that crowd was they were so appreciative of this match. And I cannot recommend those final two matches enough. And I can say on January 3rd, 2020, my match of the year is Kento Miyahara and Jake Lee.
Me too, oddly enough.
I don't know if it'll last through the week, but as of today, as of this recording, that's my match of the year.
It's a pretty high bar to set. And it's like Kento Miyahara, because of the timing of the All Japan show in the first week of the month of the year, is he's always going to have he's always going to set the bar, because he set the bar last year with Kai.
Yes.
And he set the bar now with Jake Lee. So, yeah, I do think there's going to be some really amazing matches that we still have yet to see.
This guy was so incredible to watch live, and just how over this guy is. Nothing that is shocking to anyone, but just being there in person to see the reaction to him. And it's just, what an unbelievable talent.
Yeah. The other thing I want to just mention quickly with the World Junior Heavyweight title. So, three guys came out afterwards to challenge Susumu Yokozuka,
That's
which
right.
was Fuminori Abe, who I absolutely love. You were really impressed with his interactions in the match, I think, against, was it Koji Iwamoto? Or no, somebody else.
It was Black Mentori, Kagetora, and Masahiro Takanashi.
Yes. Okay. So, Fuminori Abe and Kagetora from Dragon Gate had an amazing exchange of striking and dodging and stuff. It was fantastic. And I want to see more of this guy in All Japan. He mainly works for Big Japan as well as some other smaller promotions, but he's just recently started getting booked regularly in All Japan. And I'm all for it, John. He is so great. I would love for him to win that title as well. But also Black Menzuri came out, and Akira Francesco came out, and, Susumu Yokozuka's picked Akira to be his next challenger. And this guy had one of Tajiri's best matches in years, John. It's unbelievable. I have a lot of high hopes for young Akira Francesco.
Yeah, who he got the finish in the tag match, so gets this spotlight win, and then he's going to be first in line for the junior heavyweight title, and kind of setting up a gauntlet of Yokozuka that's going to go through all of them. We also had this 8-man tag with Yuma Aoyagi, Ryoji Sai, Ayato Yoshida, and Danny Jones defeating, this was the match where they defeated Zeus, Naoya, Nomura, Yoshitatsu, and Kai. And to me, the interaction that stood out the most was Yoshida and Naoya Nomura, clearly going in that direction. And those two, it was limited, but very effective for the time that they had together.
So you can see this trend with All Japan to work with all these freelancers or people who work for other companies. Ayato Yoshida works for 2AW, which is the former K-Dojo. They brought in Shigehiro Irie in recent weeks for their show. So, and he's formed kind of this heel group with two other guys. It's exciting because it seems to me that they're willing to spend money to sign people and bring them on tours and have them in big angles and big storylines going forward. So I think they took a look at the kind of job Noah has done in building storylines and building a pretty decent roster by signing some people and establishing some outsiders coming in Sakuraba and Fujita and all these guys normally associated with the Booker, wrong guy. So then we have All Japan probably looking at, okay, they sold out 2 Korakuens running as Wrestle Kingdom. They did a really good job at the Sumo Hall show. So we want to get to that level. What do we have to do? We have to invest in a solid roster of younger talent. And that's the story coming out of this All Japan show. These younger talents are going to get the push in 2020, and I'm all for it. I think they've decided, okay, we got this new decade coming up. We need to create new stars.
This was a hell of a way to start it. I left this show like just in. I was so invigorated to follow All Japan coming out of this show. I just thought this was an outstanding show. It was between the two shows we saw. That was my that was my favorite show today. But we can move over to Stardom. This was at Shinkiba First Ring, and do you want to describe Shinkiba First Ring for those that have not been? Because this is like way out, but it's like in this like factory district.
Yeah, it's basically kind of like a warehouse district, and Shinkiba itself looks like a warehouse. And then you go inside, and it's a very, very intimate venue. What was the capacity? 284?
On the sheet that we had printed out, it said like seats. It said 284, and there was well above that because there was tons of standing room only in this. So I'm sure they were well over 300 that were in this place, but still very compact.
Yeah, and again, like Korakuen, but even more so, there's like no bad seat. Like you can see everything from anywhere in the building, and we got good seats. We were like second from the front,
we had phenomenal seats,
and right by the entrance ramp. So like we got wrestlers.
You can see us all over Stardom World.
Yeah, we're right across from the hard cam. We've had wrestlers almost falling on me at least, and I was like, whoa! Yeah. Like, thankfully that didn't happen. But yeah, again, this show, so many angles and like so many new directions for some of the wrestlers who've kind of been toiling on the mid card, like Saki Kashima. We had like Utami and like Azumi and Momo Watanabe and Queen's Quest, like kind of, they had an awesome match, and they just showed, I think you're going to see a continued push for them. And it's just really exciting, like seeing some of the younger wrestlers get, okay, there's something for them. They have ideas for this younger talent that you don't need to push Mayu Iwatani so hard. You don't need to necessarily push Hana Kimura so hard. You can give them the push that they have right now, but spare some energy and some ideas for the people underneath them.
Yeah, so the show was really built around Kagetsu's farewell. She was teaming up with Hana Kimura, and they took on Mayu Iwatani and the aforementioned Saki Kashima, and this ended with the big turn by Kashima where they got the Oedo Tai sign, and she just blasted Iwatani over it with the referee distracted who, what was the referee's name again?
For that, Daichi, what's his name? He's the older gentleman.
Yeah.
Yeah. You loved him.
I love this dude. My favorite referee. This guy is just great. Just like laying down the law, but man, then he took a lot of shit from Kagetsu in that main event. It got the spit in the face and then gets distracted at the end. So, Kashima nails Iwatani, and then this ends with it was the package pile driver by Kimura and pinned Mayu Iwatani. So sets up that direction, as well as Kashima basically being brought into Oedo Tai afterwards.
Yeah, it's like, so she was, basically recruited into the group because Kagetsu's leaving the company. She's, quote unquote retiring. We'll see if she's actually retiring. We're like Hazuki retired. I don't think that's true. Right. We're going to see her somewhere else. But so like obviously Kagetsu can't indoctrinate like Saki into Oedo Tai. So it has to be, who's the next logical leader of the group? Well, it's Natsusumi. So she's like the most senior member of the group after now Kagetsu's gone. Hana's left. She's formed her own unit. So it's her, it's Natsu and Natsukotora. So like they're going to welcome her, Saki into the group. And I think it really freshens up both Saki and a depleted Oedo Tai. So I'm really excited to see where this is going to go, John.
Yeah, it was, a strong main event. My match of the night was still the 6-woman tag that we got. This was a semifinal of the night. Arisa Hoshiki, Tam Nakano, and Saya Iida versus Momo Watanabe, Utami Hayashashita, and Azumi. And this was, however long this was, 17, 18 minutes of just non-stop. This was one of the better women's match I've seen, period, in months.
And thinking about, like, the age range of all these women, like, they're really, it's really amazing. If you think about it, Azumi is still like, I don't know, 17, 18.
That's crazy.
And she's really good.
Yeah. This was a very physical match.
Momo's like 20, 21.
Wow.
And like, she's been good since like she's been 17, like high level, like we're talking elite level wrestler, whether they're a man or a woman. Like, it's unbelievable. Like the talent that's come out of like the Stardom dojo. It really is. And like, again, like I think the booking, one thing that gets lost, I think, is the booking is pretty strong in this company. It's pretty solid. Like, you see this growth in their attendance, and to the point where like Bushiroad wanted to buy them because they see something in the talent that exists in Stardom. Like, I mean, we're not going to get into like what I feel about the changes Bushiroad's making, but like you can see there's like this concerted effort into like, okay, we're going to hire Julia. We're going to steal her away from Ice Ribbon. We're going to hire these other people from other companies. And I think they're also trying to get other foreigners to kind of, you know, mix in with the regular Japanese roster and see what sticks, and like try to build something that Stardom doesn't look like New Japan, but is more akin to New Japan than it was before.
Have you just attending tonight, and you went to the December 24th show?
Yes.
What kind of, have you seen any little small changes since the official turnover to Bushiroad has occurred? Like, other than one piece of signage in the corner, like that's kind of the only visual thing, but any little things that you've noticed differences in, or has it been too early?
The way merchandise is handled, and I mentioned this on a podcast I did with Dylan Fox of the Eastern Lariat, is like, so I went on the 24th, like I go into the merchandise room, which we went to when we entered Korakuen to go to the All Japan show. That's where they normally sell all the Stardom merchandise, in the same room. So when I went to that show on the 24th, there was one table, and it wasn't very clear if that was a lot of merchandise in it. It didn't seem like there was a lot there. So whereas like the whole room is usually merchandise, t-shirts, pictures, books, magazines, programs, things like that, I did not know that there was actually merchandise, because I wanted to buy some merchandise, like a program or maybe a sweater or something like that. Nothing. I didn't buy anything, and I wanted to, but I couldn't find anything. So that's a big deal to me. Like, that seems like a change that Bushiroad seemed to institute into the company. Definitely, like, the roster changes, like Hazuki saying in her retirement speech, no one should retire the way I did. I hate Stardom. What is that? Was that Kagetsu right after that show announcing she's going to retire? Why? We don't know. Like, people say it's injuries. People say, you know, like it's, you know, people complaining about her as a trainer. I don't know what's true, what's not. We'll see if she shows up somewhere else. And I think that's what's likely going to happen. So, and then this whole talk about like who's going to get pushed in Stardom, what kind of wrestlers are going to get pushed, like, you know, so it's interesting. You see it actually in, you know, the product you see in the ring, but you do see it like in things like how they're dealing with merch now, and how they're dealing with people doing photos, like the Polaroids and things like that, I think has changed. I've never been into that kind of part of the fandom, so I'm not really that familiar, but what I've been told is that it's changed a bit. Yeah,
that was like a huge part of the business and the experience of like Stardom. Like, that was like a very, very big part. So it'll be interesting to see how that changes.
Well, remember when we left, it's cold tonight, John.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they were all outside getting...
People were waiting in lines. Yeah. And you saw, like, for multiple wrestlers, you can get your Polaroids with these multiple wrestlers. And someone was telling me, like, their friend is going to get in line for all the wrestlers.
Wow.
And that's going to be, like, hours in the cold. I'm like, wow.
That match, by the way, ended with a triple-seated drop kick to Iida, and then a torture rack submission by Hayashashita to end that match. We had a Session Moth, Martina, B. Priestley, and Jamie Hayter take on Jungle Kiona, Konami, and Death Yamasan, who I thought she was awesome. At one point, she like sat right in front of WH, and she was like posing to the guy next to her, just like with like all the makeup on, and she was like a really fun character that got people into this.
Essentially, she looks like Gene Simmons from Kiss.
Yes, yeah, very much so. It was fun. It was again, a very, very hard-hitting match. You got the comedy from Death Yamasan, and it ended with a O'Connor roll reversal by Death Yamasan, who was kind of like just the punchline of the match, but then she gets the big reversal and pins Martina at the end to get the win for her team.
Yeah, they really hit each other hard, like Konami and B. Priestley.
B and Konami were, they were the major pairing during the match.
So it seems like the idea is that B and Jamie Hayter are going to be the next challengers for Jungle Kiona and Konami's Goddess of Stardom tag team titles. So that's the program they seem to be going with. Like there's interactions with Jungle and Jamie Hayter. So Session Moth and, Yoyama Death Sun are just kind of like the comedy relief there. But it was a very, very fun match, I thought. And I thought, like at some points, like Martina is more of a character in Stardom, but there were points where I was like, you know what? If she applied herself, she could be a lot better. But Martin Bushby was saying to me, like, nobody wants to see that. They want to see the comedy Martina character. Okay. But I do think there's something there, like, as a wrestler in her.
Right. Yeah. And gets over, like, from the minute she gets out. Like, people get into her entrance, get into the act. Zoe Sky and Natsuko Tora took on Julia, who will be part of that dark match tomorrow at the Dome, and Andres Miyagi, this ending with Julia pinning Sky. Did Julia stand out for you at all in this? Like, clearly she has, like, very good look about her, but I would say by the end of this show, I didn't think she was one of the people that left really a lasting impression with me. This was, like, early on the card, and it wasn't one of the big featured matches.
Her character, more than her work, is something that I think stands out because in her previous company, Ice Cream, she was a babyface. Mm-hmm. And now in Stardom, she's a heel. And I think she's really good at being a heel. Like, I think it comes more naturally to her. I think it's an interesting dynamic that she has as a different character than what you saw before in her previous company. So her work's not there, but like, she's working with one of the best rosters in all of wrestling, whether it's male or female. So, like, I have no doubt she's going to rise to the occasion because I think her fundamentals are pretty sound, and it's just getting that experience.
Yeah. So overall, how did you feel about the Stardom event? I had a lot of fun at this show, and in particular, those last two matches were strong. Yeah. And this was a show we were in and out in 2 hours. There was no intermission. It was, to me, it's like 2.5 hours. That's a sweet spot.
I loved it. I thought it's actually one of the better Stardom shows overall that I've been to because, like, there was no fat on this show. No
down period. Like, there was no, like, audience was checked out. They were into everything. Quick, fast-paced show. In and out. Like, that to me.
We got a musical number, too.
That's right. Explain it. This is, like, our like, opening act was, like, these three coming out and doing a whole, like, dance number for us.
So it's Saya Kamitani. She's one of the singers. Itsuki Hoshino is the other singer, but the main singer,
because they were in the opener.
But the main singer is of this trio of singers that we got this musical number from is Yurie, who's the ring announcer for Stardom, and you'll see her if you watch Stardom World. She's the younger cute girl who has a very high pitched voice and does all the ring transitions, and she's also an idol singer. So it was really fun. And it's like, this is so unique. Like, you don't really see this. Like, some of the other Joshi groups kind of do this. Like, Actress Girls does kind of a dance number and stuff. But, like, for my understanding, like, I think TJPW also does dance numbers. I don't follow it closely enough to be too sure about that. But for Stardom fans, like, okay, they like a certain type of, performer, which is like this idol image in the wrestlers. So, like, to have an actual, some of the wrestlers and the ring announcer do an idol dance number and song number was, like, pretty cool. I think it makes the shows unique, which is something you need in the wrestling market these days. Yeah, and then Kamitani and Hoshina defeated Leo Onozaki and Hina and the team of Arena and Layla Hirsch, who to me had the best reaction to the streamers tonight because Layla Hirsch got introduced. There were like 3 streamers for her, and she kind of just looked down and acknowledged it was 3 streamers, but you got to start somewhere. So. Yeah, I mean, like most, foreign wrestlers who come to Japan, when they get streamers, they're like, the first time they get a significant number of them, they're really happy. Dude, everyone got streamers on this show. It was, man. And the art form to seeing this live of like how fast they get the streamers out there because the next entrance is coming up in a couple of seconds. They have this down to an art. This is like part of their training along with bridge, bridge and neck bridge exercises. 1,000 squats, and then you remove, we're doing 500 entrances this afternoon. So Utami is really good at it. And she's like a star now. She had 3 belts. Yeah. But she still goes out there and she just gets all the streamers out because she's really good at it. Like it's something she developed a great talent for. And then, we should mention, because after this, you led the way. You took us all to Ribera Steakhouse. This was awesome. This was so cool to go in. We had a party of 14.
all got seated. And then I was just like, this was like a museum, just seeing all the photos, especially all the ones from the 80s. The Road Warriors lived at this place. They had to have been there every tour because they had a different photo. They were in different outfits, all over the place, but everyone. There is a photo of everybody in this thing. And this is an absolute must. If you come to Japan, you have to go to the big Ribera Steakhouse. I recommend the big one because they just had so much, to check out and look at.
So they have the photos on the two sides of the outside, of the sign, right? So like I said,
this is on like the main sign outside that you see on the street.
Because when we finished, I said, John, did you see the other picture on the other side? What?
Yeah, there was more there.
Why is like Maria Kanellis here?
And then you got Dr. Death, like, there, like, poolside, where they just, like, put a camera in front of him. Like, some of the photos were just awesome. You have one with, Terry Gordy, he's holding up a rifle. It's just like these random photos, of all these guys. But that was super cool. And Toudoukan as well we got to. It's amazing how much stuff we did. Toudoukan is just overload, cause you can't even process, like, it's everything under the sun you can imagine is under one roof if you're a collector of anything.
We'll go back there.
We'll go check it out again. Yeah. I picked up a program for a friend. That was my one purchase at Toudoukan, but it's pretty overwhelming. El Samurai was there doing a Q&A as we got
it's pretty
there.
Good. It's pretty cool. Like tomorrow's like another Q&A with Dave Meltzer.
That's right. He's Dave is going to be there, and I'm hoping his voice holds up.
Oh yeah, he wasn't sounding too good. I got to hear his voice today. I was like, whoa, I hope he's okay.
Well, we're going to keep this short, but any final thoughts going into the Dome show tomorrow? We're going to do our TGIF meetup tomorrow, and then it's off to the Dome, and we got 11 matches.
I'm excited. I think it'll be an interesting show. I think New Japan is like, I think they think the same as like a lot of the other wrestling companies right now. It's like we're in a new decade. We need to like start, building for the future. We need to like start making stars and elevating people. And I think that's what we're going to get out of this weekend, like starting tomorrow, continuing on the 5th and just catapulting like that idea on New Year's Dash, on the 6th.
Is Okada Naito still your expected outcome?
Yeah. I can't think of anything else, John. I really can't.
It's the one I think. Nothing will shock me, but that's what I keep coming back to is I think this out beyond just what you do for night 2, what you're going to do all year. I just think that one opens you up to so many possibilities.
Can I just say though, New Year's Dash, that's the one thing I'm most excited about because I don't know what's happening on that show.
I think I think everything with Liger by the end of this trip, that's going to be probably the most memorable thing. I just think the combination of everything, like that is going to be a huge part of this is like Jushin Thunder Liger is going to no longer be an active professional wrestler in 3 days.
Yeah. But, besides that, like, I'm excited to be there. Like, I'm going to be part of, like, this man's history who's meant so much to me as a fan. But I really think there's going to be a lot of angles coming out of this show.
Yeah.
New Year's Dash. So I'm really excited about that because, like, this All Japan show and this Stardom show really hyped me up for this idea of, like, okay, you're building stars. You're running angles that are, like, show so much promise and have so much potential. And I just feel excited about, generally, John, like you're looking at my face. I'm just thinking about it. I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait for the next 4 months of All Japan Pro Wrestling.
They set up so much great stuff today. And I'm really interested about as well, like the rollout of New Japan's schedule. Like what kind of ambitious plans do they have for 2020? Because I think that'll be telling just from what they have planned, what kind of year they have and right down to, are they preparing for something back to back next year? What you learned from this experiment, because this has been, to me, a home run for all these companies. Like this has transformed what this week is for future weeks.
I think we're going to be like, you and I talked about like things that we've heard about like the schedule, like that we can't confirm or talk about even, but probably by the 6th, we're going to be able to say, okay, this show's happening. This is the scheduled. My prediction, G1 is going to shift. That's my prediction. G1 is going to shift to the fall. And,
which, let me say, as an outsider, I cannot imagine the city during the Summer Olympics, much less with New Japan trying to run, their biggest tournament and tour of the year. This place, my God.
It's a lot of people.
It's going to be crazy in the summer, in the middle of all the heat. And they'll get to experience Sumo Hall in the middle of the summer for whatever events are going on there.
Yeah, not me.
All right, we're going to sign off. You're going to get lots of WH Park over the next couple of days. We are lucky to have this man. First of all, a big thank you, WH. You have been like the leader here for so many people in our group. He's taking care of like tickets, getting us around, helping me find a charger for my phone. It's just been awesome to hang out with you, WH. So we are going to be back on Saturday night. It'll be late Saturday night our time, which will be early Saturday for those in North America. So it'll be me, WH, and Wei Ting will be making his Japan debut here at our hotel because he will be checking in tomorrow. So all three of us are going to be running down both nights of the Dome shows. So you'll have 2 bonus shows. Those are for Post Wrestling Cafe members. So if you join the cafe, you'll get post shows for both Wrestle Kingdoms with all three of us. And then Monday, we will have a free show right after New Year Dash. And I'm sure we're going to have tons and tons to talk about coming out of that show and whatever they do. As well, we're going to Noah on Sunday as well. So lots of stuff coming up. We hope you join us. As always, you can follow along postwrestling.com and give the man a follow at WH Park 9. And you can follow along to all the insanity that's going on here in Japan. So thanks to everybody for listening, and we'll be back after Wrestle Kingdom 14 Part 1.